The US consulate in the southwestern Chinese city of Chengdu will close at midday today over simmering tensions between the two nations. China correspondent Bill Birtles joins us now from Beijing. Bill, g'day. So are the Chinese making any specific allegations about the American diplomats in this embassy, or are they basically saying that it is in retaliation for the Americans kicking the Chinese out of Houston?
Joe, primarily they're saying it is necessary retaliation, that the Chinese side was reluctant to take this move and force the shutdown of that US consulate, but that they had no choice, they had to react. But there has been a little bit of accusations have been coming from the Chinese side, because the foreign ministry said that there are at least two American staff members at that consulate who are in China under false pretenses, basically alleging that they're not clear what they're alleging, and they're not saying espionage per se, but that's kind of the implication. But the primary reason is retaliation.
Yeah. And just take us back through what the US allegations about the Chinese in Houston were.
So the US government says that the Houston consulate was used by the Chinese diplomats as the base for espionage and intellectual property theft operations. But what the Chinese side says is, hey, look, we completely reject that, and you have not provided any proof. Show us some evidence. What evidence have you found that Chinese diplomats were engaging in either intellectual property theft or espionage? So that's what the Chinese government is saying, calling it an act that sabotages US-China ties, saying it's completely unreasonable. And the upshot is those Chinese diplomats did get out just before the 3-day deadline expired on Friday. And so now the American diplomats are in the final 2 hours of preparing to leave the Chengdu consulate.
But no smoke rising from the Chengdu consulate indicating there's any burning going on there?
No smoke, but there was a man who let off firecrackers outside the consulate just a couple of days ago, Joe, and that is a traditional sign of celebration in China. It's also, according to Chinese folklore, to scare the demons off. So that was seen as having huge cultural significance. That bloke was arrested, but there are plenty of people on the Chinese internet calling for the police to be lenient with him.
Okay, so what does this signify about the state of the relationship between China and the US?
Well, some of the more hawkish Chinese state media, Joe, says the relationship is now in extreme danger in the next few months as China continues to be a major talking point in the US election campaign. But it's broader than that. I think there are people on both sides acknowledging that the Trump administration is not just doing this for electoral gain, that there is now a deep-seated desire by many in the US to completely reset the relationship onto more confrontational terms. In other words, the days of cooperation are over. As the US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said last week, the US should now approach China with a view of distrust and verify rather than trust and verify, which was the old US model for dealing with the Soviet Union.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Bill Birtles in Beijing.